Hey guys, welcome back to another impressions video on a newer title for the Xbox One, Bleeding Edge, an online combat slash arena type of game, competitive online game developed by Ninja Theory and published by Microsoft, and available through Game Pass if you guys have that service. Otherwise, this is a somewhat of a budget title, if you will. I think it's retailing for like $30, out there. So. I think it's reasonably priced considering the amount of content is it's not very large, but we'll get into that as I go on into my review or impressions here. So the game just got released a few days ago, and I've been playing it for the past 2 or 3 days. As some of you guys may know, I'm pretty big into online competitive games. I know that's not a popular genre here among some of the gaming community on YouTube, but I do enjoy playing, games like Battlefield, back then Overwatch, Rocket League. So I'm not opposed to having an online game as something that I play. So I decided to give this one a shot, considering again it's a new game and it was available through Game Pass. So I thought, why not give it a shot? And the game is online only, obviously, and the game provides a tutorial, which is pretty useful. I highly recommend if you guys are interested in doing this to partake, with the tutorial. It teaches you all the basics, and I feel like it's important to do it because no other game out there it's similar to this game in terms of the button layout or configuration in the controller. The game it's somewhat easy to learn and to grasp the concepts, but when you're actually playing it online, it can get a little bit hectic to remember everything in the controller. Everything is well laid out, but it does take some practice getting used to, especially when you're switching from one character to the other. Just remembering where all the special moves are mapped to and things like that. But with some practice, I was able to get uh, to enjoy the game, and even though the game is quote unquote, I don't want to use the word bare bones, but this is one of those games that the developer has promised they will be adding more content, more new characters, maps, and game modes as the game goes along. So as of now, the game doesn't have too many maps. I want to say maybe four, five, six. I can't really tell, but the amount of maps in the game it's pretty limited. So are the game modes. There's only two game modes. One of them is like Conquest, similar to Conquest in Battlefield, where you have to hold an area, and then the other one is kind of like it's kind of like rush mode in Battlefield, where you have to go to a certain objective, and in this particular case, you have to place battery cells in those areas. So very limited. You cannot, from what I understand, you can't choose. You can only have like a quick match, and then that puts you in either game mode. So you don't have a choice on where to access. If you have a preference, you just get put into a game. And something really annoying is after the end of each match, it kicks you back to the main menu. So you have to again join like a quick match or whatever, and wait. The loading times and the matchmaking can be a little bit bothersome, and will make you wait a little bit, which is again a little bit frustrating. But again, this game is on a very early stages, and I think the developer has the time to amend those things. As I mentioned, the graphics are pretty good. They kind of look like cel shaded in a way, but they're 3D graphics. The game looks very colorful. I think it kind of follows that Overwatch slash Fortnite type of crazy characters, in with a lot of colors in it. A very happy looking game, if you will. And I think the Ninja Theory did a good job in terms of creating the characters. They're wacky. They're kind of what's in right now at the moment. Again, with games like Overwatch and Fortnite, they have very crazy looking characters, and this game is not the exception. And like I said, the graphics are pretty good. The game runs fairly well. I've been playing this on the Xbox One, the original Xbox One, so the graphics are pretty good. And the performance is really based on your netcode. I've been playing the game pretty much lag-free for the most part. But there are every now and then I would get some slowdown. Typically towards the end of the I'm sorry, towards the beginning of the match when everything's it's loading. Sometimes you get new players joining in the battle, and sometimes the game kind of like lags or stutters a little bit. But other than that, the game has been pretty solid as far as the netcode. Now, as far as the different characters or fighters as they call them, the game basically divides everything into 3 different categories. You have your damage group, you have your support group, and then you have your tank group. As you guys can imagine, the tank group are the bigger characters, the one that can take a lot of damage, but they're not very fast. Then the support group, they're pretty much the healers, you know, the characters that are very weak, but they can heal party members. And then you have the damage, or yeah, I think that's what it's called, the damage category, which is kind of like your balanced characters. They can deal a good amount of damage, and some of them have you can keep your distance and things like that. So the key to success is, I guess we're going to jump into gameplay. The key to success in this game I found is you have to stick together as a group. There's no other strategy. Obviously, there are some strategies. One of them is you have to stick together as a group, and it can become quite challenging at the beginning of the match, because if you rush to confront the enemy, there's a very good chance that, let's say, if you die, that means it's going to be 4 on 3, because it's 4 versus 4, or 8 players total, right? And the team that has less players, they are in a huge disadvantage. And when you die, the respawning takes a while, actually. So, and then what makes things worse is that you respawn at your base, and your base is sometimes pretty far from the objective. So between waiting for the respawn and traveling all the way to the objective to help your teammates, that can be brutal if you're playing against a good team. And you know, again, the key to success in this game is to stick together. Number one, the rule number 1, and the rule number 2 is you have to have a balanced team. You have to have at least 1 support category. You have to have 1 tank, and you have to have at least 1 damage type. So 1 from each category is key for success, in my opinion. And sometimes it gets frustrating, because you know the random people playing the game are choosing any category they want, and you can change characters mid through the game, and sometimes you have to adjust based on what your other teammates are doing. So this is a type of game where I think it's really beneficial to play with friends, and I haven't done it yet. I don't know how it works, but I know if you play with random people, something that I didn't really like is when the games are over, you get basically kicked out back to the main menu. So you lose, if you're on a good team, you lose being with those, I guess, teammates, and then you can be put on a team with crappy players. And there's nothing more frustrating than being paired up with crappy teammates. That's basically a rule of thumb for every online game, whether it's Call of Duty, Battlefield, you guys name it. But in my experience playing online games, this is probably the most frustrating one, as far as if you're stuck with a crappy team, it's extremely frustrating, and it just makes you want to shut your console down. But at the same time, when you're with a good team, it's incredibly rewarding. So I guess it balances out. It's a very weird feeling. It's I call it like a bipolar type of game, or you know, type of feeling that when you're playing the game, because you can either be having a lot of fun or be very, very frustrated. For instance, there was a match where one of my teammates, he would just keep going to the left side of the map, whether the objective was there or not. He just wanted to go there all the time. And this is a game where you have to stick together and go play the objective, pretty much. So that was very frustrating, and to no surprise, we ended up losing that round. And there were some moments that I had a lot of fun, some comebacks that I did. Typically, the people that have a microphone, it helps a lot to communicate with other people. Also, if you're in a party chat or something, that's also very beneficial. You can have your headset and communicate with teammates, but that doesn't guarantee that random players are gonna abide to your directions. So it can get very frustrating. But again, once you start or the team starts working as a team, it's a very rewarding experience. Something that kind of worries me is that I've been playing this for like the past 2 or 3 days, and the content is starting to feel light very quick, and it's something that I don't know what Ninja Theory has in planned. But I don't think this game is going to hold my attention for much longer. So hopefully they have something to be released pretty soon, whether it's a new game mode or new characters or new maps. I feel like the game is already becoming a little bit old. I do have to explore a little bit more with other characters. My favorites so far are, I think, Gizmo, which she's an engineer and she's under the damage category, I think. I like her because she has a ranged normal attack. She has like a machine gun that you can keep your distance with the enemy, and that's pretty fun to do. I also like in the support category Kulev. I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's kind of like this skeleton with a snake character. He's a pretty good healer, and I've been enjoying using him a lot. If my team needs a support role, I like using him. And tank, I'm not a very big fan of the tank class, but I did play with all three tank characters equally, and it's something that you have to practice, obviously. And I'm in the process, obviously, of learning the other characters, but I've been sticking with Gizmo and Kulev, or however you pronounce his name. Those have been my two favorites. But overall, it's a type of game that rewards players for sticking together and working as a team. And again, it can become very frustrating when you're dealing with random people that don't play as a team. So overall, I think this is a game that it's available on Game Pass. So if you guys have the service, might as well give it a shot or try it, and pass judgment on yourselves. The game is also only $30, so if you're looking for something that'll hold or be good for a couple of days or a couple of weeks of worth of entertainment, I'd say it's a good budget price for this type of game. It may not have that same feeling when I played Rocket League or Overwatch, for example. I feel like those games, even from the get-go, they just felt more complete. They felt like you could be playing those games for a very, very long time, and I'm not getting that impressions or feedback from Bleeding Edge just yet. Hopefully, Ninja Theory will add more content, and hopefully, that's the key. And sometimes the risks of these online games, where the developer has to be pretty active in providing the community reasons to come back to the game, and hopefully we'll find out in the coming or upcoming weeks or months how they deal with that. But that's it for now. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys want to play, make sure you share your gamer tag on Xbox One, and I guess I'll see you guys in my next impressions video. Take care.